Hi everyone, my name is Celine, and first I'd just like to thank Professor Valiant for allowing me to be a part of your lecture today, and let's get into it. So just a little background info about myself. I'm a senior majoring in kinesiology with a pre-med focus. I'm also pursuing a certificate in German language. I'm a local girl, spent my whole life in Kalihi. My family just recently moved to Kaneohe side though, but my family does originate from Tonga, so I am Tongan. And yeah, just to kick off my intersex story. Specifically, I have complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, which also known as CAIS. So at my entire life, I've always identified as female, even at birth. For my condition specifically, it's I think usually they're all female, and so at birth I didn't have any like ambiguous genitalia, like many other intersex conditions, and so the doctors were like, "Ooh, you have a girl." um, it wasn't until around puberty that's when CIIS patients usually tend to find out that they're intersex. So it wasn't until puberty, because I didn't have a period like the rest of my friends. And so my pediatrician thought we should just wait it out. Maybe I'm just a late bloomer. I got to high school, still no period yet. But I think it was around my senior year in high school that I seen my first OBGYN. She thought it was a hormonal imbalance, and so I hopped on birth control. I really suck at taking pills because I'd always forget to take the pill every morning. And so I ended up finding a new OBGYN, just because, I just thought I think it's always good to get a second opinion. And so I started seeing my new OBGYN, and she was the one that actually diagnosed me as intersex. We did the whole karyotyping thing, and we found out that my chromosomes were actually XY, which are male, and we actually found that I have testes, internal obviously and undescended, in my stomach. So basically, I'm a female on the outside, um, all the female characteristics, but on the inside, I actually have no female reproductive organs, and instead, I actually have testicles. My two options were to keep them, but keeping the testicles, the plus side would be that I get to keep my natural hormone production, my estrogen production, which is super important for my bones. But the only thing was I'd risk cancer. Supposedly, that keeping it in your stomach area kind of increases your chances for cancer. And my second option would be to take them out, but I would hop on hormone therapy, estrogen therapy for the rest of my life. And like I mentioned, I was really bad at taking the birth control, so imagine this. Um, I don't know if you guys see the internet or if you guys see on the news, but intersex is kind of a controversial topic, just because a lot of intersex babies are actually operated on like without their consent, kind of in a way. Um, and parents, mind you, intersex, it's kind of the in between of female and male. You're just kind of both, kind of neither in a way. And so usually if you when you operate on them, they usually grow up a little confused, with their gender, like gender identity. I think that's right. But they just grow up confused. I mean, I would be. And I feel like I'm really lucky for my condition that they couldn't you can't tell at birth that I'm intersex. I think I'm also really lucky that I grew up in a modern world that's very advanced in technology, because Hawaii's really tiny and there's not much intersex patients that I know of. Maybe because they don't really share about it like I do. I feel like I'm really open about it. Um, and going back to the two options, so if you asked me a year ago, which was when I was diagnosed around the summer of 2019. I was really set on taking out the testes and hopping on hormone therapy, and that's usually the normal route for my condition. But then I think I met a lot of people. I did some digging. I met Professor Valen. I met strangers. I talked to strangers about it, which is quite odd. But then fast forward to now, I actually chose to keep my testes and to keep my natural hormone production. I think I mean, either way, if I if I chose to keep them, I'd risk cancer. And if I took them out, in a way, I'd kind of risk, have a risk for, oh my God, I'm stuttering. I'd kind of have a risk for osteoporosis. Like, for example, one of my OBGYN told me one of her patients, they're like 20 something and they have osteoporosis. And it's just because of the hormone therapy. I guess she didn't take them or something like that, but I'm not too sure because of HIPAA. um, but going back, oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. But going back to living in a modern world with advanced technology, I I actually made a lot of intersex friends, and specifically friends with CAIS like myself. My current OBGYN, which is my third OBGYN, I actually found her through my friend who I met online. Um, she actually referred me to her doctor in Washington, and the doctor in Washington actually referred me to her colleague who's here in Oahu and who's actually willing to help me like keep the testes in my tummy. And so basically what we're doing is we're doing MRIs every year, but we're just screening for cancer, any tumors, lumps. Just because I am keeping it, um, I feel like either way I'm screwed. But I think you just gotta be happy about it. You don't really have a choice. I can't have kids, which suck. And but then I think if you, I was more scared of the cancer part. But the way I think about it, it's like having boobs puts you at risk for breast cancer, or like just basically having like the breast tissue, or like having the testes puts you at risk for testicular cancer. Like, and so I just thought like I I might as well just live my life. You only live once. Take all the risks. And yeah, I think that's quite it. Um, I am very open to questions. You guys can definitely email me if you guys like, or you guys can just ask Professor Valen and she can pass it on if you guys have any questions specifically for me. But yeah, I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much, you guys. And yeah.